Hey. Wow, thank you, Joanne from KBOO, your weapon of mass instruction. One more time, I want to see those hands of people who are members. Now I want to see the hands of people who aren't. I want your names. This is an investigative reporter here, man. I know who you are. And I know what station you're listening to and not paying for. We'll talk about that. Wow. First of all, thanks again. Where's Dave Mazza? Thank you very much again from the Portland Alliance. Portland Alliance, and we also had Demetris DeSillis of Rearguard, who is our principal sponsor here tonight. Demetris, who's been where Demetris? Heroes, giants here. There he is. Demetris, the real paper of this, if you're reading the Oregonian, and Looking Glass Books, who will, by the way, thanks to Looking Glass, who will be donating proceeds from sales to these organizations. All the money tonight is going to benefit Rearguard and the Portland Alliance and KBOO, and terrific. And also thanks to my associate who lives here in Oregon, Kat Lestrange, for putting this together. And a special thanks. Oh, let's see. I guess in Oregon it was the shed that wouldn't let me. I'm supposed to be at the shed tomorrow, but they have kicked me out, but we've moved over to, so let your friends know I'll be at, is it Portland State University?
No, it's the University of Oregon.
What is? University of Oregon. The shed has shown their class interests. Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, maybe we should just go, I don't know why you're here, because didn't Catherine Harris tell you to move on? I mean, get over it, right? So how many of you heard our president last week, his high noon speech, 48 hours for Saddam to get out of town? And by the way, interestingly, he said Saddam and inspectors and journalists. But he said this, he said, I want to talk. I actually looked up, I couldn't believe what he said, so I had to get the paper record. He said, I want to talk to the Iraqi people. Okay. Cheney forgot to mention that they speak Arabic. It's okay. And I thought, man, okay, he's going to say something, especially because, the mothers and fathers of the kids who are being sent into the bullets are listening in. I thought he might say something, I was expecting to say the usual stuff like, listen, our kids are here to liberate you from this monster, so don't shoot at them. Instead he said, do not destroy oil wells. I can't make this up. Do not destroy oil wells. Anyway, so it was translated to Arabic by Al-Qaeda immediately. And then he said that we're going after those who have, look at this. You got to see this, man. He's going after those who have aided, trained, and harbored terrorists, including operatives of Al-Qaeda. I thought, shit, he's going to bust his daddy. Right? That's courageous. I mean, that's a man for all. Easter dinner, you can imagine, spread him, Dad. Up against the wall. Read him his rights. It says it. And then he said here, war has no certainty except the certainty of sacrifice. And and I guess he would know, he was a war hero himself during Vietnam. I heard laughter. He was. No, he was a fighter pilot during the war in Vietnam in the Texas Air Guard, which is kind of a weekend war hawk's army for those afraid of the, warriors afraid of the sight of blood, especially their own. And but he was actually quite fearsome, during the war. In fact, his reputation as a fighter pilot was so fierce that the Viet Cong didn't even dream of attacking San Antonio, And I was bringing this up here because I'm at this school, because our president's very concerned. He's fighting in the midst of everything he's doing, Bush at war. He's fighting on three fronts. He's fighting the war against Saddam, the war against Osama, the war against affirmative action. Right? He's very concerned. He's been in places like this, seen too many black kids in college, and he immediately said he's fighting affirmative action. And because he says no one should have their position except through merit. I know what you're thinking, but it's not true. He actually had to take a test. I looked this up on, investigative reporter, all that stuff. I looked it up. He did take a test to get into the Texas Rearguard, and out of a possible 100, he scored 25. Now there were thousands of brave chicken hawks who wanted to be in Texas Rearguard during the war in Vietnam, and thousands got higher scores, but they didn't get the Top Gun Tom Cruise job because many of them were students of color, and they had an affirmative action program at the time called Vietnam, right? And now, one wonders as we watch Bush courageously send other kids into Baghdad. And, I was thinking Napoleon always made sure that his was the first horse into battle, and Bush is riding Dick Cheney, the last jackass, away from him. But anyway, but in Texas, during the war in Vietnam, see, this may go back some time. You don't think that Bush used some affirmative action from his powerful congressman father to get out of the war, right? So I kind of looked into this, and I was investigating into that question. And see, the Democrats were afraid to bring that up during the very close election in '94 in which he just won by a hair, because they had no evidence. They didn't know how he got that nice, safe Top Gun job at the Rearguard. But one guy knew, and his name was Ben Barnes. I want to explain how this works, see how it works. Okay? And Ben Barnes knew, and after W was elected, Ben Barnes called up the governor's office, the new governor. See, because Ben Barnes was a lobbyist for a company called G-Tech Corporation, which had just been removed for corruption